Good day, welcome to another episode of Supreme Hope. My name is Khomoto, and today I'll be taking you with me as I walk through the central business district of Tshwane, formerly known as Pretoria. I will also do my best to explain some of the interesting things I see and experience during this walk. And so feel free to ask me any questions that you might have. I'll do my best to answer them. So, as you're driving into the central business district from the direction of Centurion, which is the south of Pretoria, you will see there'll be a big building. That's the building that we are seeing now. And this big building is the University of South Africa, which is also known as UNISA. UNISA was one of the first public universities and was established in 1873. It used to be called the University of the Cape of Good Hope. It is the oldest public university in South Africa, and it became the University of South Africa in 1916. UNISA has over 400,000 students, including international students from 130 countries worldwide. It is also considered one of the world's mega universities and is a distance learning pioneer. So here we are slowly entering into the central business district, and we are passing the new building that will be on our right, which is the new building for government, a government department that is known as Rural Development and Reform. I like these new buildings. They are very aesthetic, and they also have a history as well, because as you can see here on the right, they haven't removed the old buildings that look like they were built a very long time ago. Some of the buildings that you'll see on your left as well as on the right, which are flats or high-rise buildings, are residential buildings. So most people that work in and around the city of Tshwane live in these areas. Some of them might not work in city of Tshwane, but these are residential buildings. And as we are going into the CBD, you'll also see there's lots and lots of these flats, and they are both on the right and on the left. And as we enter the central business district, and up there you can see there's a building that's protruding up there. It's white and gray or black. That is the APSA building. And as we are driving through into the city of Pretoria, you'll see on the corner where we are going to turn right, that's where our collector of revenue building is. That's the taxman on our right. And on our left, that is a building called Tramshed. It's also protruding here in front of me after I had parked. This building with the with the red face brick is Tramshed. The Tramshed building now houses what we call Tramshed. It was actually built in 1910 and was used as the original depot. So it was used as an original depot for trams, and these trams were basically found in Cape Town, Johannesburg, and also in Durban and Pretoria. These were major cities then, as they are now still. And so in 1863, the tram started operating in Cape Town on horse-drawn trams. Then the city moved on to electric trams, and by the end of the 19th century, the trams served the city well into the 20th century until the 1930s, when buses and cars became more popular. And in Johannesburg, the first trams started its service in 1891. This was a horse-drawn tram, and this tram system was later electrified in the early 20th century. The Johannesburg tram system then ceased operations in the 1960s as motor vehicles and buses became a dominant mode of transport. And in Pretoria, trams also had an extensive network, with the first being the horse-drawn tram that began operating in 1910. And obviously, their depot was in Tramshed. Like in the other cities, the trams in Pretoria were eventually phased out in favor of buses and cars. And when we go to Durban, the first horse-drawn tram was started operations in 1880. It was the first in the city of South Africa to introduce electric trams in 1892. The trams in Durban ran until 1949, when they were replaced by trolley buses and diesel buses. There has been efforts to revive the attempts of using the tram system in South Africa for tourism and nostalgia purposes. For example, in Cape Town, a historic tramway operates in the suburb of Simonstown, serving as a tourist attraction. And I found this to be very interesting because when I look at how trams play a significant role in the developed world, it kind of saddens me that we've gone back or like we've just regressed, you know. But nonetheless, alas, we continue. So on the left, what you see is vendors that are sitting on the side of the road. They are selling different things. Some of them are selling food, fruits, vegetables, and some of them are selling clothes, some shoes. You can see some are selling baskets, and there's different types of vendors that you'll see, and there's almost there's a lot of things that you can buy on the side of the road. These vendors don't use card machines. I've never had to use a card machine when I was transacting with them. They prefer using cash. And yeah, here we're going to cross onto the other side of the road. That building that we are facing there, that's the ABSA building I was telling you about as we were driving in. And here we're going to cross and also make a way into crossing onto the other side so that we can continue. I'm crossing onto the other side of the road because I know it's quite busy. And this time that we were doing this walk, it was during peak time when people were going home. It was after between 4 and 5:30. And that Steers that you see is a burger place that has been there since I was probably in high school. I remember coming here in my first year, and it's still here. It's still operational. Some of the places are not as operational. And yeah, that ABSA building is on the right. So you'll see there's also a lot of moto buses, which we refer to as taxis. Taxis come to the Pretoria CBD to ferry people to different places and different locations out of the city, some in and around the city center, that they can, like, where the people can get off. So you walk with me. We're going to walk into the street called Church Street, which is the main street where you don't find cars. I'm going to do a short walk there as well, so that you can be able to see how Church Street is like now and how it used to be in the past. So on my left, there used to be one of the biggest Edgar's in South Africa. It was originally here. I remember coming here in 1995 with my parents to buy Christmas clothes, and the queues were just like out of this world. We struggled to find some shoes, and we struggled to find a lot of clothes, but it was a good experience. And coming to think of it, and why I'm referring to it, is that this Edgar's here, which was one of the biggest Edgar's in the country, has closed down due to Edgar's facing financial difficulties and having to let go of some of their workers. So now we're walking towards Church Street in Pretoria, and I'll tell you a little bit of a history about Church Street and why it's called Church Street. So Church Street has a rich and extensive history, and it's one of the most important streets in the city, and it's the longest urban street in South Africa. It stretches over 26 kilometers, and I'll tell you about some notable points about the history of the street. But this street starts in Attridgeville and ends in Mamelodi, which are two townships in Pretoria. And it got its streets from the church buildings at each end. These churches were Dutch Reformed churches and also known as the Moederkerk in the west and the Old Church, the Anglican Church, in the east. And as Pretoria developed, Church Street became its central spine with businesses and residences and government buildings springing up along its length. So here, no cars pass during the day. I don't know if they open it at night, but I think they open it for service cars and maybe loading cars. And yeah, this is Church Street as you know it. I'll continue with the history to just mention some of it. Is that on this street you find some important buildings that are like the Raadsaal, which is the council hall on Church Square, and also the Old Transvaal Museum is on the street, and the Palace of Justice. This is where the Rivonia trial took place. And along the street, there's been a hub or the foundation really of the city. It's surrounded by a number of important buildings, like a lot of government buildings are here, and monuments, and such as the statue of Paul Kruger, who's the former president of the South African, or the South African Republic, to say. And guys, please don't mind I stutter. So when I talk for too long, I stutter. Otherwise, I'll have to talk very, very slow so that I don't stutter. So you'll excuse me. I think as time goes by and I get used to doing these voiceovers, I'll improve. Okay? And there's also a cemetery as you're going to the west of Pretoria. Yeah, as you're going to the west of Pretoria towards Attridgeville, just before the place that was previously called the Pretoria Showgrounds, there are cemeteries on the left. Those cemeteries are so old, and they are cemeteries for people who fought in the Boer War and also victims of the 1918 influenza pandemic. And in recent years, parts of the Church Street have been renamed to notable figures in the South African history. For example, the section of Church Street running through the city center was renamed Stanzabo Pape Street in 2007 after an anti-apartheid activist. So yeah, that's a little bit of the history about Church Street. And as we pass here, the shop that I was penning to now is Sweet Penny. Sweet Penny has been there for the longest of time. Since I was even in high school, we would come here to buy some hair care products, and it's good to see that it's still standing and it's still there. And what we are moving towards now is the next street, which is called Madiba Street, that's coming up now. It used to be called Vermeulen Street, and it has been now renamed to Madiba. There's also vendors on the street, but not as much as on the other side. The other thing about having such a lot of vendors on the street, it makes me wonder what happens when you are in a wheelchair and you need to push your wheelchair, because there's so many people and there's so many vendors as well. But anyway, I guess people who are disabled or are in wheelchairs find other ways to make their way through the city. And this is the main street. And as I panned, there was a high building. That's our National Treasury building. And now I'm moving towards that street that I was coming from, that was coming from Centurion. And there's also a lot of people who beg in the streets, not only in the streets of Pretoria, but just around South Africa. Some beg with children on their backs, some are blind. Yes, with the street language that we have, we'll just say, it's not make sure, which means there's just something fishy about it, right? And on the left is one of the shops that are so old in the city. And as we're approaching here, there used to be a place called, or a confectionery named Bellem. I'm referring to it as they used to be because they've closed their doors. This confectionery used to make one of the most delicious donuts in town. So they opened in 1978 and we're still serving bread and specialized bread, sweet and savory pies, and they were made by hand, which they've been doing for over 40 years now, and they've had to close their doors. I don't know if they were affected by COVID or what the issue was. I haven't really gone into in too deep to just find out what really happened with them. And on the right, there's a big building which is the Tshwane House. This building used to be Mintoria back in the day, and the building was burned down. So Mintoria was the headquarters, administrative headquarters of the city of Pretoria. And in 1997, one of the towers of the Mintoria building was severely damaged by fire, and it continued to be used for municipal functions for many years afterwards. And in 2013 and 2014, the building was demolished in order to make room for the new era. And this is where Tshwane House comes in. Tshwane House was then built and is now the current headquarters of the Tshwane Metropolitan Municipality, which serves Pretoria and surrounding areas. The new building is more modern, energy efficient than the old building, which was Mintoria building, and has been designed to better meet the needs of the municipality and that of the public. The Mintoria building, while is no longer standing, it's an important part of Pretoria's history and architectural legacy. Its replacement, Tshwane House, represents the city's ongoing development and growth. And that's a little bit of the history about Tshwane House. Do you remember, guys, what I told you, that you can buy almost everything? You can tell me what you saw that you would have bought. There's facial creams, socks, CDs, vegetables, all types of vendors you can find. And I'm working with my gorgeous sister there. And we're gonna cross the street now. So the purpose of this is that I wanted to do a loop. So from where we started and back again with the other street. And I've always wanted to go into the taxi rank, or rather the taxi rank that is down at the new mall that was built in the CBD. And I'll tell you more about the mall just now. I was still telling you about the mall that is built in the Pretoria CBD. It's called Blue Street Mall, and it's known as the Blue Street Shopping Center. And it's situated in the heart of the city, and it's easily accessible and attracts many locals, especially those that are using public transport. And the location puts it within easy reach of various public transport routes, making it a convenient shopping destination for locals and visitors alike. It has a variety of shops offering everything from fashion to groceries, and it features both local and international retail chains. You can also find services like hair salons, cell phone shops, banking facilities, and there's a number of fast food outlets at this shopping center, and it's not only a shopping destination but also an important part of the local economy as it provides employment opportunities and supports local businesses. So we're going to go into the shopping center just now. You'll see when we get to the shopping center that it is the shopping center we say it is. Okay, so yeah, just stay tuned in and I'll tell you more about it as we go in. And there are some things that surprised me that I was not expecting to see. I've never done a full walkabout of the mall myself. And this time, as my sister was available, I said, just please take me. I want to see how it's like. And she did, because in most cases when I would come around this part of town, is that I would be getting off a taxi to get onto another one to go to a different destination, so you don't really have time to go into I didn't have time to go into the mall, so this time I made a point to go in to just see it for myself. So tell me what you think about the mall. And yeah, I must say that it's quite nice. So this is the part that surprised me a lot. When you're passing outside, you would never say that there is this economic activity happening at the bottom of the mall. So I found out that this mall has actually a taxi rank for taxis going all over Pretoria. I was not expecting to see this. And I didn't know what to make of it. I was so surprised. And the fact that there's order and there's it's relatively safe. And yeah, this is what shocked me. And it was a big surprise for me, considering how many taxis are still outside this place and still in the city. There's just so many taxis still. I didn't think that I would find a taxi rank underneath the mall. And there's a taxi rank, there's shops, there's ladies and other places that are selling food, home cooked food. Don't mind my fingers there. I was just trying to communicate with my sister because I didn't want to talk a lot on the video while we were recording it, and I didn't also want to get it distorted while we were busy recording. But yeah, somebody's selling acha, somebody's selling food, and there's also ladies outside that are cooking while this is happening. And like I said, it's one of the interesting things that I found about this mall. So there's people coming in on both sides of the mall, coming in and going out, coming in and going out. And I'm ashamed to say that I live in Pretoria and some of these places I don't know. But I'm going to make it a habit to know these places so that I can tell people about our beautiful city. And there was a narrow staircase for us to go up and for other people to come down. And it looks dark, but it's not really dark. So we're coming out here under the bridge, and there's people selling everywhere in the city. And yeah, the foot traffic is good for those that are selling and retailers as a whole. And there are buses. They thought I was catching, the guys here thought I was catching a taxi. They wanted to help me get into the right taxi. So there's also people who assist you get into the right taxis when you are in the city. We call them taxi marshals. And yeah, I was telling my sister that if you pass by here in the morning, like at about between 6 and 8 or 8:30, there's like people who are sleeping here on the side of the road. Like a lot of people. Like you can't really walk this road that we are walking on in the morning because there's like people sleeping in blankets, so you have to cross to the other side of the road. And I was explaining to her as well the things that you get to see here. I think there are places here that are just not, I don't even know how to explain it in a way that will not get me flagged, because it's just some atrocious things that happen that you will see. But I just dare you to please walk on this road in the morning, and those of you that walk it in the morning will know exactly what I'm talking about. There's no way of me saying it without having to be offensive. So, and I would like for kids to watch these videos so that they are able to also get an understanding of how certain places look like and a bit of the history of how the places are, and they'll be able to gather something from it. And yeah, we can all learn at the same time. So if I say those things that are like offensive, I will not be able to be seen by kids. These videos will not be able to be seen by kids. And there's more taxis there. You see on the left, there's more taxis. The taxis on the left are going to a place called Queenswood and also Mamelodi and Silverton and Gezina. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. No rain, not so cold, but not so warm either. And more and more and more taxis all over. You'll see Please remember to follow, like, and share. Not follow, but subscribe, like, and share. Please comment. I really appreciate your comments, the good and the bad ones. Well, not so bad, but the ones that criticize. Because I mean, how do you get to improve if you don't know the mistakes you're making? So I really appreciate each and every one of you who takes time to just let me know if I'm not doing so well, and how you'd like things to be changed up a bit, and I see how I can change up things a bit. And yeah, looking forward to hearing from you, and to also tell me where you'd like me to take more videos. I'd really appreciate that. Then on the left there used to be a filling station called Engine. I see now the name has changed. It's no longer called Engine. And yes, in South Africa, we have petrol attendants. These guys help you when you come and pour petrol. They pour petrol for you. They help you pay. They help you with your wheels. If your wheels need pumping, they assist you with that. If your car needs some water and oil, they'll help you check that and also help you fill up with that. And I'm mentioning it because recently when we went to some first world countries, we had to pour petrol for ourselves, and it was just such a mind-blowing experience, I must say. Thoroughly enjoyed it with a good laugh. And yeah, it's amazing some of the things we take for granted when we are here at home, to think that the whole world has the same experience. Traveling has definitely opened my eyes, and I have learned so much from those experiences, that it's the things that money can buy that make it worthwhile. So I'm not gonna talk for. Oh, should I talk? Okay, I'll talk. I want to show you. You see that black building there that looks like a black marble? That is the reserve, our reserve bank. In that spot there. We are about to cross. So this street was called Brown Street. Look at how clean it is. I remember walking Brown Street for the first time. I wasn't even walking it. I was in a taxi, and the taxi passed by there. I think the taxi driver wanted some change. And one of, like, not even one, there were like so many people who using substances that were there, that I couldn't believe my eyes, and also how young they were, and that there was somebody who was just selling, like, they're selling sweets. I was just so, I was shocked, and apparently it's not a shocker, because people who use public transport know the street very well, and they advise kids not to go into it. But its cleanliness now can be credited to the taxi drivers. Apparently, taxi drivers in the city just said, look, this is dangerous. It's making our clients uncomfortable. So we're going to clean it up. They cleaned it up proper. Now it's like a normal street. You would never say that those atrocities were happening in that area, you know. Yeah. So just after we cross the street, you can also see on your right hand side is the other part of Tshwane House, which is the administrative building for the city of Tshwane municipality. And there on the left there as well, that's the Reserve Bank building protruding. And you can see how new this building is because it doesn't have a lot of developed trees, and it's well fenced, and the security is quite good and well lit as well at night. It's just that here we were passing during the day. And on our right, we are going to pass a street called, not a street, one of the malls or shopping centers that is called Semi-Marks. I'll tell you more about what Semi-Marks encompasses and what it is for and what other places are there. Do you see that Absa building there at the top as well, just on top of Semi-Marks? And I was just remarking there on that street to say there's a street which there's a school that looks very dodgy, even if I say so myself. So on the right, it's still Tshwane House. So it was built on one block, one huge block. And yeah, that's where the administrative offices of the Tshwane municipality are. Just as we are crossing the street here, we are crossing that Nelson Mandela Street that goes to the suburb of Arcadia that I was telling you about. The building on my right is the Semi-Marks Square, and on my left is the South African Reserve Bank. And the Reserve Bank, mainly its job is to maintain price stability in the interest of balanced and sustainable economic growth. It does this by setting the country's monetary policy and interest rates, and it's also responsible for circulating coins and banknotes in South Africa. The bank also manages the country's gold and foreign exchange reserves. The bank works also to ensure that the stability of South Africa's financial system and monitoring the health and operations of the country's banks and other financial institutions. The bank's headquarters are in Pretoria, and the building on the left is the headquarters of the Reserve Bank. The distinctive building was completed in 1988 and is a prominent feature in the city's skyline. So that's a bit about the South African Reserve Bank that I found to be notable. And if you're looking forward, there's a building that's got a glass, or the building that's more on the left, that's the South African State Theatre. But now we are about to go into the Semi-Marks Square, and I'll tell you all about it. So the Semi-Marks Square is a prominent shopping center and entertainment center that's located in the central business district of Pretoria in South Africa. It's named after the famous industrialist and entrepreneur Semi-Marks. The square is a popular spot for locals and tourists alike, and a lot of school kids, because a lot of school kids like to come and chill here after school or when they are bunking school. And I remember when I was still in high school, there was a movie house. I don't know if it was in Semi-Marks, or we used to go to Arcadia. And then you'll just find a lot of school kids just parked there during the day. Before I digress, let me tell you more about what Semi-Marks Square is and how it came about. So it provides easy access for both locals and tourists, and is situated near other significant landmarks such as the Reserve the South African Reserve Bank, Chase Square, Tshwane House, and there's also a library inside of this. There's also a public library inside of the Semi-Marks Square Center. It's known for hosting various events and activities, contributing to the vibrant atmosphere in the area. It is also a popular gathering spot and hub for entertainment in the city amongst young people. The square is named after Semi Marx, a Lithuanian-born industrialist and financier who played a significant role in the industrial development of the South African Republic in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Mark left a considerable mark on the city's history, contributing to the development of various industries in the region. So that's a little bit of information that I have about semi-marks. I'll tell you more as we go on. So I have to say that the semi-marks McDonald's is the coolest McDonald's I've ever seen. Anyway, like I've never seen such a cool McDonald's, which is like only glass and people are sitting outside and inside. So before this McDonald's came to be, this place, it was just bare. People used to just hang around in the area, and there used to be people when they were hosting some small concerts, they would come in the square. And it has Woolies, it has a bank, it has the biggest Mr. Price I've seen is the one that is here at Semi Marks. The one thing that really shocked me and why I'm moving closer here is that this Woolworths has burglar bars on their windows, and no other shop in this complex has burglar bars. That really shocked me to say, what? Okay. I found that to be quite interesting. And there's also Studio 88. We all know if you want to dance and vibe, just go into Studio 88. They'll give you the music for free. And it's quite loud, like very, very loud. And there's Fushini, and at the bottom on the left, you're going to find Mr. Price, and then at the end of the line on the right, you're going to find, I think there's a gym there now, and on the left, there used to be a Wimpy. I'm not sure what happened to that Wimpy, because that's where we used to, when you're waiting for somebody in town and you're waiting and you want to be in a safe place, you just get into the Wimpy and you order yourself ice cream or a cup of tea or water, and then you just sit there and wait for them. And what I noticed as I passed by here was quite saddening, because the Wimpy is now closed. I couldn't believe it. I had to stand in there and look through the window, to see if it's really closed. It's closed. It's not there. No more Wimpy. I wonder what happened. It's saddening to see all these businesses that have been standing for a while go, because they were the pillar of the city and they also employed such a lot of people in the city. And as we turn left here, and we go up. It's sort of like a loop. So on the video, when we started walking, we were walking on the other side of the road. Now we're walking on the opposite side of the road. Now I just wanted to show you some shops that have been there for quite some while. There's a shoe shop here that has been there for ages, over 10, 20 years now. I hope I'm not revealing my age. And then you'll also bump into the Woolies as well there. So, and go into Church Street on this end. So just chill, wait. Remember to like, follow, subscribe. I really appreciate all the comments, criticism, as well as compliments. I really appreciate those. So here is the other part of Church Square, and just on the strip of the street of Church Square, you'll see there's Reserve Bank. So you can see we've done a loop. There's that McDonald's I was telling you about, that it's the coolest McDonald's ever. And then on my right here, we find the South African State Theatre. It's located in Pretoria and is one of the country's premier venues for live performances. It hosts a variety of events, including plays, music concerts, dance performances, and operas, and also comedy shows. The last time I came here, there was a comedy show. And so the State Theatre was inaugurated in 1981 and has been a significant cultural hub ever since. It boasts several venues within it. This includes the Opera House, which can seat over 1,300 people, the Drama Theatre, which can seat 640 people, and smaller venues like the Rendezvous and the Momentum. It hosts a wide variety of performances, including dramas, musicals, ballet, opera, cabaret, and the children's theatre. This diversity of programming helps the theatre to cater to a broad audience. The State Theatre also plays a crucial role in the cultural life of Pretoria, providing a platform for the expression of South African artistic talent. And it is also involved in several community outreach and development programs, further enhancing its role in the local community. And as you can see, the streets of Pretoria are full of hustlers everywhere you go. And you don't see a lot of them now on this street, particularly because the sun was going down and it was quite late, and a lot of people were coming back from work. But if you come here during the day, you'll have like there are so many artists that are here, especially near the State Theatre. They sell some arts and some items that they've done with their hands, that they've made with their hands. There's that Reserve Bank building on our left, and soon here at the traffic light we are going to turn right, heading back towards where we were. No, we decided not to turn right instead. I think we went forward so that we can pass TUT. There's the Gautrain bus. That bus takes you to Bosman Station to catch your Gautrain. The Gautrain is our speed train.